Right, the lady that's going to speak to you in a minute is a constituent of the North Livingston area of Scotland, and she's got some pretty strong views on Brexit and independence for Scotland, etc. I will ask her a few questions, but first of all, I'll get her to introduce herself to you.
My name's Georgie Hume and I stay in Livingston, and like yourself I read the papers every day, and there's just been some strange questions and answers going back and forth over recent times with regards to independence, Brexit, where we're going to be standing in that matter, how we go about it, and what the end result may be.
Right, thanks, Gina. Now, the thing that I'm sure our viewers would like to know is just what is Brexit as far as you're concerned. We'll come back to independence in a minute, but just what does Brexit mean to you?
Well, Brexit means leaving the EU.
Well,
leaving the...
No, we know that, but
it means
what to
leaving
you?
the establishment and being able to trade around the world if necessary. At the moment we trade, most of our trade, the vast majority of our trade is within the EU. It's not with other countries that might have a lot more, may or may not have a lot more to offer. And I think, well, maybe that people feel that option should be open to them.
What about people that say that being in the EU provides a safety net, i.e. we've got all these other companies that deal with us at the moment tariff-free, both ways. We would presumably have to give that up and take our chances with negotiations through Brexit. Do you understand that?
Yes, well, I mean, it's difficult. Negotiations haven't actually started, and it's difficult to say what is going to happen or what our place might be, either in or out with the EU.
But don't you realise that the Brussels establishment are not going to make it easy for us, because they don't want other countries to follow us in Brexiting, i.e. if they all did that, it would collapse. So is this not something that will stop us from getting a good deal?
Well, I don't think it should. I don't think it should at all that Britain needs to be punished for leaving the EU, because if they are convinced that they have a strong club, that they are a good union among the rest of the countries, and they have faith in their own establishment, why on earth would any other country want to leave? Why should Britain be punished? We don't know what's going to happen. So why punish a country for something they think may or may not happen? It tells me they've not got much faith in their own establishment.
Right. Well, I, as an interviewer, have to remain unbiased, but I must say that does strike me as a very valid point. I would concur with that, and I would ask that question to everyone out there. If it's such a good club, why would anybody want to leave? We have said we want to leave because we don't think it's a good club. We think we pay far too much to be a member of the club. We pay more, I believe, than any other country other than Germany. Is that your understanding?
That's my understanding of it.
Well, let's say that Brexit, we don't know what's going to happen. I think we both agree with that. But it is more than likely, despite what you said, that Brussels are not going to make it easy for us. Right, having said that, let's come through to Scotland now. We've got Nicola Sturgeon for the SNP banging on that she wants to stay in the EU. Now, could you tell me why you think it's not in our interest in Scotland to stay in the EU when the UK are leaving?
Well, of course, we're all members of the UK at the moment, and the UK's leaving. So Scotland has to leave with it. Now, I'm aware that a lot of people in Scotland voted to remain in the EU. And I'm also aware that a lot of people in Scotland will vote for independence. But let's think for a minute on the word independence. Look up the dictionary and find out what the word independence means. It does not mean leaving one club to join another club. Doesn't make sense. If you want independence, it means freedom from any club. You rule yourself. You decide what's right or what's wrong, what to do or what not to do for your own country. You could not do that as a member of the EU. Nor would you be able to do it fully as a member of Westminster. But you have to ask yourself, where do we do most of our trade? Do we do it with the EU or do we do it with Westminster? Now, at the moment, Scotland...
I think, by the way, you shouldn't say Westminster. You should say
England.
England, because Westminster, I think a lot of Scottish people don't like the idea that everything that happens in the UK emanates from Westminster. I do think that is one of the main things why Scotland wants to leave. They don't like the elitist movement that is Westminster. However, having said that, I've got to say, you're swapping one elitist movement for another in Brussels.
Well,
so that I don't quite honestly understand. No. It's a case, in my view, an unbiased view, that I would suggest it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. At least we have been responsible in part for electing them into government. We haven't elected anyone in Brussels.
That's correct. That's correct. So you have to sort of work it. I mean, Scottish people aren't stupid. I mean, they're not, well, at least I would assume they're not going to vote unless they know the full circumstances. The full end game as to whether it's going to benefit them to become independent at this moment in time, or whether it's better to stick with the status quo. Now, in order to do that, we'll have to find out what is being offered at the end of the road. And I think to have an early vote would be a mistake for the Scottish people, because they would not be voting. They would be, well, let's put it, they would be voting, but they wouldn't have the full arguments at the end. They wouldn't have the know-how to say yes or no, unless you understand what is going to be an offer. And at the moment we don't know, and that could be quite some time off.
Right. Well, I think you've made your opinions very clear, and I'm quite sure out there'll be the doubters, but I think you've made some very valid points. As I said, as an interviewer, I have to remain neutral, but I am somewhat swayed, I must say, by your arguments. Now, we will obviously throw it open to anyone out there that would like to give us the opposite argument. But from my point of view, I feel that when we've got such a huge deficit in Scotland, more than even Greece...
9.5.
Is that what it is in 9.5? As opposed to, I think Greece is somewhere...
7.2 or 7.4.
Right.
It's less so, than, and it's also more than Spain.
Right, and I have to question, why would the EU want Scotland by itself? Why would they welcome them into the EU when they've got a higher deficit than some of the lame ducks, i.e. Greece and Spain for that matter? They're not great either. Why would they want another lame duck, I'm sorry, that's what it is, to join? Because I would think it would ultimately lead to Scotland getting money from the EU. And I don't think that will sit very comfortably with Germany and France, who are going to be the main bank, if you like, to bail out people, because they're the only reasonably stable countries of that importance that could help in that regard. So again, I'm sounding more and more less biased as this goes on. But
well, if you take austerity, people are complaining there's too much austerity at the moment, and you know, people have all sorts of various arguments as to how you could deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, it's nothing to what the austerity would be if the EU accepted Scotland in with a deficit of 9.5. Then I think you would see austerity. Then people of Scotland would really begin to wake up.
Right. Are there any good things, in your opinion, that the SNP have done for this country?
Well, I mean, I think our nursing services have gone down. I think
But they have in England as well, Gina.
They have in England. In fact, we're probably a little bit better
so
off.
in that regard, they've perhaps...
In that regard, you know, they've kind of looked after it to a degree. But you must remember there's a lot more people in England than there is in Scotland. And they have had a lot more immigration than we have had in Scotland. We don't know anything about immigration up here in comparison to what they've had in England. I can understand people voting for Brexit because I think Brexit was brought about because of immigration. And because of this, you have to go back to the time when Tony Blair was in power. Now, he did quite a lot of good things, Tony Blair. I don't say that everything he did was bad. Taking us into the war, yes, that was a mistake. But the biggest mistake he made was opening our borders. He had no idea how many people would flood in. No idea whatsoever. And of course, this is the reason we have Brexit, because too many people have come in too fast. Cities and towns, mainly in England, have seen their cities, their towns, their villages transformed in a way they don't like.
Right. Thanks, Gina. Now, unfortunately, our time has come to an end. But just before we go, would you like to address our viewers and tell them why they should reconsider if they are thinking about independence?
Well, I think they should be I think before anybody votes, including myself, we must be in charge of the facts. I think to vote too early would be a big mistake. I think what Theresa May said, maybe not in the best way she said it, but I think what she said was right. This is not the time. It's not the time yet. We'll have to wait to see what's on offer at the end and then decide whether we're better off staying as a United Kingdom or leaving.
Right.
Personally, it's difficult to say at this point in time, but I've always felt the union, to a certain extent, was a good thing. We've been part of a union for a long time. But yes, things change and people's attitudes change, so who knows? But let's be in charge of the facts before we make any final decisions.
Thanks very much. Thank you. And thank you for watching. Bye for now.